Hello. As some of you have seen the Darien video and a proposed beginning of a series of lectures that I'll be doing in the next few months about areas of history and archaeology that don't fit right. The other major area that I'm going to be looking at is going to be slavery, but not black slavery, white slavery. The unexplained area of history, there, if examined properly, would mean that there should be a film that comes out, 15 Years a White Slave. When it's examined from roughly the 1620s, it's said that in 1625, King James of England, King James VI, is said to have sold over 30,000 Irish prisoners as slaves to the New World. Now, these were from Ireland. They were white in colour, and they were sent over to the New World as slaves. And it's said that the island of Antigua and Montserrat had a population of 70% of individuals who were actually slaves, and they were white in colour. This puts a new perspective on the whole of slavery. It's no longer about black slaves, it's about white slaves as well. It's an area of history that's completely ignored. If anyone ever talks to me about, we poor people from Jamaica came over here in slave ships, I'm going to say we poor people from Wales and England and Scotland and mainly Ireland went over to Jamaica as slaves as well. And we're white. And I think it's absolutely disgusting that one area of history has been completely ignored. Think about this. Shouldn't the city of Bristol be asked to apologise for its trade in white slaves? And I think it's absolutely abhorrent that history covers up areas like this for its own political devices. Many years ago, when I was studying the American Civil War, and I was very much into the American Civil War, I used to argue that the American Civil War was nothing about slavery. How could it be about slavery? Why would a southern gentleman without any status, without any property, put his life down to fight for property owners to keep slaves? We're told black slaves. Instead, I feel that people in the American Civil War in the South, in the Confederacy, fought for their own freedom against the North. They fought for their own independence. They fought for taking away the bands of control that the North had over the South, and it was not about slavery. Yes, there were landowners that had black and now white slaves. The emancipation of black and white slaves, it should be referred to now, not just as black slaves. How many people in the Americas now are descendant from white slaves? That is a really big question, and it's a subject in archaeology that I'm actually going to study and introduce to my students. And when we think about descriptions of what happened to lots of these white slaves in the 16 and 1700s, was, for example, slave owners would simply hang white slaves by their hands. There's descriptions of them setting their feet alight if they rebelled or disobeyed orders. It's said that some white slaves were burnt alive and their heads placed on spikes. Was it up to 1 million people in Ireland that were sent over to the Americas as slaves? We don't know. There are figures from 1641 to 1652 that over 30,000 Irish men were sold as slaves, and then leaving behind in the 1650s hundreds of thousands of disenfranchised children and their mothers that were also sold as slaves, white slaves. So this is an area that I'm going to actually look at. Now, those commenting on this, don't refer to me as being a racist. I want some wise discussion on this, and I want people's views. I want to expose a mistruth here. And I've got black friends, and I'm quite proud to have those black friends. I've got a friend that has been on TV presenting her Jamaican past, and the past of the slavery has been mentioned. I would like to know people that have parents who remember their great-great-great-great-grandparents talking about them being slaves in the Jamaicas. And there are half-caste generations down the line who can track their black parenting all the way down to, we're told, the paternal side, all the way down to Africa, black Africa, and then we can track the maternal side all the way through to Ireland and Scotland, and maybe individuals from Wales as well, and political prisoners from England as well. So that would be interesting if we can have some contact with those people. I want to build this up because I want to build up some facts to do this and present this as a piece of archaeology for my students. And it would be good to hear if some of you actually agree with this. But facts are that white slavery did take place. It still takes place today, as much as black slaves do take place today. And it would be interesting. The greatest crime would have been with Oliver Cromwell, where in the 1650s, 1656 we're told, and beyond into the 1660s, that Irish women who were worth, it's said, £5 sterling, and a black male slave was worth £50 sterling. Because just think about it, Irish slaves were worth less than black slaves. They were forcibly to make union with male black slaves, and half-caste children were the produce, who were also slaves. This has got to be seen out there. There's got to be more information, and this has come up very recently. So, if any of you would like to comment, please do. Thank you very much.